Hi everyone, I'm Anne, and in this episode I share how I made this illustration in the app Procreate. I made a pencil sketch with graphite, scanned it in on the computer and refined it in my drawing app Procreate. I used my rough pencil sketch as a reference in the background and give each object its own new sketch layer so I can move things around later on. My mother-in-law moved to a new place and I made her a custom greeting card with her dog Guusje. It's not supposed to be a realistic portrait of course, but I think you can recognize her. I'm not gonna lie, this project was frustrating. To be clear, that has nothing to do with my mother-in-law, but with my experience and my equipment. I haven't found a good way to film the iPad properly. The iPad screen produces an awful lot of glare and the camera kept focus on my hand, although I locked the focus on the screen. So for most of this video I opted for a screen recording. Unfortunately, the screen recording also wasn't cooperating. It kept stopping the record without notice and also Procreate itself kept freezing or shutting down. So I had to redo huge part of the project for about 7 times. That left me with a huge parcel of footage to edit for this video. That's why at the time I'm uploading this video, my mother-in-law almost lives in her new house for over a year. At first I didn't know why the screen recording and Procreate wasn't working properly, but it turns out that my tablet is just getting old and the processor isn't strong enough for what I was asking it to do. So I'm in need of an upgrade soon because I want to make more digital art from time to time. I also think this app is a useful tool as a preparation for traditional drawings and projects. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more content like this in the future and which setup you prefer. Filming the tablet so you can see my hand or the screen recording. When all the elements of the sketch were refined, I played a bit with the composition of the drawing. In the end I removed the lamp and replaced it for an extra picture frame. I thought it fitted the composition better because it looked a bit awkward behind the big plant. I bought a bouquet of dried flowers and it was wrapped in this beautiful speckled paper. I thought it would be nice to use it as a backdrop for this illustration, so I scanned it in a computer and just added it to the project. Just as with traditional art, there are many ways to create a digital drawing. There is no right or wrong in this. The way how I approached this particular illustration was to fill in the flat colors first and by adding texture later on. Because some of the footage was corrupted or even completely disappeared, I can't remember all the brushes I've used. For the ones I do remember, I'll show them on screen. It was done with the ones that comes with Procreate, some free downloads and a few that I bought. Every artwork goes through an ugly stage. This flat coloring stage is definitely that ugly stage. It's a trust the process kind of thing. But I had an idea in my head of how I wanted this illustration to look and I think I managed to recreate that idea in the end. After all the flat colors were done, it was time to start shading and adding texture. To add some interest to the illustration, I chose similar tones as the flat colors of every item and colored on a separate layer with the texture brush. Then I played with the blending modes to see how they interact with the layer underneath. For some items, one texture layer was enough. For others, I added several layers until I was happy with the outcome. I soon maxed out the maximum amount of layers I could use, so once I was happy with some of the colors, I merged them down to save some space. I also played with some patterns for the cushion and the plant pot. After that it was time to add some shadow. I add the shadows in the layer on top with the blending mode multiply and I lower the opacity a bit. Then I blend in the hard edges with the same brush I used for the shadow and to raise back some additional texture in the shadow layer for some extra interest. For the highlights I do basically the same thing and with the same brushes, but with a lighter color and with the blending mode to add instead of multiply. Of course, we also need something inside the photo frames. I duplicated the layer of the dog, made it smaller and placed it inside of one of the frames. As for the finishing touch, my initial idea was a lineless drawing, but in the end I liked it better to include the faint sketch layer. I even added some additional subtle sketch marks with a pencil brush. And that was it. Here you can see the end result on the actual greeting card. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Have a nice day, until next time.